Hey, what do you say there, Sizzle Chests? Welcome to episode 12 of White Heat, presented by Gazilla Media, sponsored by our friends at Mohawk Honda, Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia Glenville, here in the upstate New York area where I'm located, as well as Johnstone Supply, a brand new sponsor for the month of August and hopefully beyond, based out of Troy, also part of the upstate New York area. And we'll hear about our friends from Johnstone Supply, over the course of the next few weeks, maybe months, hell, maybe years. Who the hell knows? I'm Brian Katie, joined by my co-host, the Black Bandana, JJ Alexander, who's doing his best Nick Gage impersonation with the pizza cutter. For those of you not watching on YouTube, he also has a ransom
Nick Gage
note.
Forgot to wear the mask.
Well, you're the smart version of what Nick Gage should have been. We'll put it that way. So yeah, boy, what a great way to intro. We're using props now. We've upgraded to props. We don't know if we have anybody to credit as our props director, but we'll work on that and figure it out. We'll just say JJ Alexander is the props director for the time being.
Yes.
All right. That being said, I think it would be rude, inconsiderate, and downright disrespectful, considering that we are recording this early afternoon on Thursday, August 5th, if we don't address the news that came out overnight, that is the passing of beautiful Bobby Eaton, a man that many would agree, although if many agree on this, I'm not sure if it's really the truth because it's a popular opinion. But anyways, somebody that many that are fans of pro wrestling and have worked in the industry called criminally underrated. And honestly, one of the, if you were to create like a Mount Rushmore of wrestling talents that was never given a world heavyweight title opportunity, a run with the world heavyweight title, he'd be up there. Obviously notwithstanding, like Magnum TA, but he had the accident, so that's, shit happens. Like, there's nothing, you can't do anything about it. Something that ends your career, an injury that ends your career. As far as guys that were healthy, willing, and able throughout their careers, Bobby's definitely on that short list of guys who could have and probably should have gotten a world title run, but absolutely was. Yeah, he was absolutely somebody that helped make tag team wrestling as respectable and tremendous as it was throughout the 1980s. And even as a singles talent, like I was alluding to a moment ago, was tremendous in the ring and could go. And which is unfortunate that wasn't discovered till the latter part of his career, because he was kind of cornered into being the tag team guy because of the fact that he was so well known for doing his tag team work. And then all of a sudden, by the time they get towards the end of his WCW run, it's like, oh, he can go long. He has stamina. Oh shit, kind of thing. But obviously, let's hear your thoughts.
At that point, he had also been a trainer at the power plant for a while, and there was basically like a thank you run during doing singles.
Correct. But yeah, so Bobby Eaton, rest in peace. And obviously, one of the more touching thoughts put out there over the course of, at least from what I've seen just in the last few hours, was Dax from FTR, who, he eats, sleeps, and breathes tag team wrestling, so that doesn't shock anyone. But if you have a chance, just, for as much as I hate the Twitter trolls, this is one of those times when I'm going to ask you to actually go on Twitter and just go check out the things being posted. Gary Michael Capetta posted something really nice about Bobby. Tommy Dreamer put up something very nice. So, by all means, go check it out, look it up. And yeah, I'm really getting sick of this RIP shit. It seems like it's become a theme the last couple months, but
Un-
I guess it is what it is.
Unfortunately, that's what happens. Like, everyone gets older. I mean, granted, Bobby was only 62.
Right.
Jeez. He lived a pretty.
I'm trying to think. Paul Orndorff was roughly around 70. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, but if there's any bright side, bright side to it, at least it's not part of the endless shit we had to go through in the early 2000s, where everybody was dying in like their early to mid 40s from something or another.
Yeah.
Particularly guys that were Attitude Era, steroid, like the early 90s, late 80s steroid era.
Cocaine and Soma.
No, I know you love it, but I mean, some ECW guys that were part of the early run. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Just craziness. But it is what it is, and obviously, rest in peace to Bobby. And now we move forward with the show. So, as far as the show is concerned, aside from I told JJ before we started recording that aside from Bob Eaton's passing, I had no clue where to start this show today because there's a lot of different directions. But I think I'm going to start with a calm. I want to start with a calm, well thought out discussion about one of the biggest news topics from the past week, and that would be. And I'm going to use air quotes here because it goes into the discussion we're going to have and the belief you put out there that the more I thought about it and broke things down in my head, the more I'm leaning towards agreeing with you. So that news topic is the quote-unquote release of Wyndham Rotunda, better known as Bray Wyatt. And so the reason I'm using air quotes for that is because JJ presented a thought, and the more I chewed on it over the last few days, the more I thought, okay, that makes sense. Plus, I want to bring up something else to add to it. But first, JJ, I'll let you take the floor and just give your reaction when you heard the news, and then how you see things as they are right now with
obviously. But I looked into it, and the first thing I did was go to the WWE shop site, because usually when someone's been released, their shit's on clearance. None of Bray's stuff is on clearance. I put 2 and 2 together and decided you're pissing me off. No. I combined that with the fact that Braun Strowman, who's been released in recent months, has new merch that has popped up on the shop site within the last 2 weeks. So it is my firm belief that because he was another person that had a big ticket contract, that they released him from that contract so that they can renegotiate it. Basically, they obviously, because Bray was around the same, getting around the same amount as Braun. He was getting 1.2 million a year on the downside. So, and he was obviously moving a ton of merchandise for them. They know where their butter is bread. They're not going to give up one of their biggest merch sellers. That would be like them firing all 3 in the New Day in one swoop. So, and also apparently he was just cleared 3 days prior to his release, which been talking to some people, not dirt sheets, and apparently he was dealing with some major mental issues. He is finally in a better place, and that's why he's in the best shape of his life, as people were reporting. And they were really heavily pushing for him to show back up on TV within the next week before they released him. So like a lot of that stuff just doesn't make sense. So I honestly think they're gonna hold him off TV a little longer, renegotiate the contract, and then supposedly his 90 days is up on Halloween, like his 90-day no compete. Could see him pop up on the Halloween episode of Raw or SmackDown, and the crowd would pop. I mean, sorry, the Thunderdome will pop because it's not looking like we're gonna have live crowds come October.
I'm not gonna touch that on that last comment until we get a greater conveyance of what might be happening. I'm just gonna let that go for now. Not that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm just not gonna touch that right now. Now, for a reference point, by the way, if it were to be SmackDown, that's the 29th of October.
Yes.
The closest Raw would be the day after Halloween, the 1st of November. But obviously, they're timely, so they'd go the 25th route for a Halloween episode of Raw.
Right.
Number one. Number two, you mentioned the mental health stuff. Obviously, it's a combination of things. Number one, he had mental health issues going on already before.
Right.
Also compound the fact of the passing of Brody Lee, who was obviously a supremely close friend of Bray. Also compound the fact of, and I don't think a whole lot of people are thinking about this, or at least I haven't heard a whole lot of people bring it up, but there are some people, and I can think of one person in particular in my family who had this issue. Mental health stuff, some of it could have stemmed from either A, the COVID, everything involving COVID, B, having a newborn, or C, all the above.
Right.
Because, I mean, and this is even before any of this talk about, again, we're not going to get into this whole idea of Delta variant or the second coming of COVID or anything. Just in general, we hadn't seen Bray since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And even before that, we saw Bray on a couple Thunderdome TV shows in 2021, but that's really it. And one of them, he's getting set on fire. So, I mean, there wasn't anything really there for Bray to begin with, except for really following up on anything involving him and Alexa coming out of what happened at WrestleMania. But it's been 5 months, almost 4 months, excuse me. It's been 4 months now. So you're almost at a point where modern wrestling fans have memories the size of goldfish, so they're probably not even going to really fucking remember what happened at WrestleMania at this point, unless you're part of the IWC or you're a podcast host like myself and you. So, you put all that together, and it's like, the equation makes sense for A, Bray being out, because there's a whole list of issues like we just talked about that could have been there. And the other side of it being the breakdown you just gave. Plus, oh, by the way, Braun Strowman posted a pic earlier this week on Twitter of him chilling in a wrestling ring. And he said it was something along the lines of, feels good to be back, or some shit like that. Yeah. Which, right. So I would lean towards agreeing with you about the renegotiated contract angle of it. So now we're going to go two different directions with this. Let's go the WWE direction. Let's assume you are correct on both gentlemen, Bray and Braun. Creatively speaking, and the stipulation I'm about to give you is very hard, but if you are Vince McMahon, or if you are Bruce Pritchard or whoever is part of that hierarchy at this point. Paul, whoever. Where does Bray fit? We're not talking about Kevin Dunn. Where does Bray fit? Where does Braun fit? Because to me, I'll give you an idea. Although he technically was on Raw for most recently, if we're not putting the belt on Cena and it's not going on Seth directly from Roman, the best in between at this point would be Braun, because Braun hasn't faced Roman since he became champion, and Braun's an entirely different kind of animal than Roman's faced so far in his title reign.
True.
On the Bray end of it, I mean, you would assume the obvious place is Raw. The question just becomes, where the fuck does he fit in on Raw? Like, obviously, he's a character where you can put him wherever you want, but as far as if you're thinking about continuing anything involving Alexa, the obvious spot is Raw. But aside from that, you could start fresh either way, honestly.
You could go the route of Big E cashes in on Trashley. Big E's champ. Braun comes back as giant monster heel to go after Big E. On the flip side, you revisit Finn and Roman, because Finn just got shit canned, as I predicted. Finn could possibly get the big one, or Finn is just about to get there and the Fiend appears, because they never got to do the Fiend versus the Demon, and they alluded to it a number of times, and there's money left on the table if they don't.
Of course. I agree with that. So this is you saying Big E cash in means Big E to Raw, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And the only reason I just mentioned that is because I'm sorry, I honestly didn't catch who you said he'd cash in on. So you said Lashley, now that I think about it. Okay. You said Trashley, actually, not Lashley. Sorry, LSD. So now let's go the other direction with this. I know it's the direction that you're going to go fucking nuts on. But, you know what, actually? We're going to table that. We're going to table that for a second. Because there's somebody else I want to bring up quick. So we'll keep Bray. We're taking Bray Wyatt and put him on the back burner. Now let's turn on a new burner and heat up a new pan for this. Adam Cole. No. Listen to me. Hear me out. Okay. This is not me discussing Adam Cole going to the main roster. I'm just going to give you the logistics of what has been reported, what's been said, and honestly,
I know it's been said. He's fucking with them.
Okay. Well, hang on. Okay. Because we're going to go again. We're going to go two different directions with Adam Cole, like we just did with Bray. But let's start with the setup. The setup is Adam Cole had a contract that technically expired in the last month or two. Cole apparently, I don't know if he said this or if it was just something he mutually agreed with WWE on, but basically said, let's get through TakeOver in Vegas, or not Vegas, but TakeOver SummerSlam weekend, and then revisit. Okay. Which essentially tells me, let's just roll with it. So let's go the WWE route first. Let's assume he resigns.
You're forgetting one thing.
What am I forgetting?
Contract expires on Saturday, the day before TakeOver.
Okay, but obviously he's gonna work TakeOver. He's not gonna keep working this program with O'Reilly and then just leave the day before TakeOver. Because you're not gonna take Cole O'Reilly 3 and put it on anything other than TakeOver 36. That's just stupid. That's stupid. Like, if you're trying to put on an NXT event that matches or comes close to the hype of SummerSlam, you're not going to put O'Reilly Cole 3 on free TV. Well, it's still free. Well, No, Peacock is free, so fuck that. It's not. It's. You're not putting it on fucking NXT Tuesday night, okay? Any Hooser, let's just go with the first direction of, let's say he resigns. What do you do with Cole next? Because at this point, he's not. He just feels like an NXT lifer. He kind of feels like that same. He just feels like that same kind of talent that Johnny Gargano is. Now, yes, they experimented with Johnny on the main roster with Ciampa when they were North American NXT champions, but that was temporary. Plus, Ciampa got hurt, so that fucked everything up. But realistically, there was no real good fit for Johnny anywhere on any main roster, unless you're just going to throw him into like the U.S. title picture or maybe the Intercontinental title picture. But other than that, there's no real good fit for Johnny. Maybe in a tag team, but that's about it. It's the same shit for Adam Cole. This is not me saying Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano on the same level talent-wise. I'm just saying fit-wise, Vince McMahon, the way his mind works-wise, it's same level. Like, there's a ceiling. There's a clear, hard ceiling. There's no glass ceiling they can break through and exceed. It's a hard ceiling. It's a fucking roof with shingles that he can't get through. All right? So the question... fuck off, all right? So the question becomes... The question becomes NXT lifer, or does he accept his role and say fuck it and move up to a main roster spot?
I think Adam Cole's going to end up shooting himself in the foot.
Can you explain further?
I think that he's sitting there jerking them around in contract negotiations because this fucker thinks he's the second coming of Shawn Michaels, and he's not. And he's going to end up trying to drag him along until 3 days before SummerSlam, and he's going to be like, I want this, and they're going to be like, we're not budging, and he's going to threaten to walk, and they're going to go, bye, bitch.
That's not really a Shawn Michaels move. That's more an Ultimate Warrior move, but that's another discussion for another day.
No, I'm not saying that's like I'm saying in ring this fucker thinks he's the next Shawn Michaels, and he's
I get it. I was just fucking with you. Chill. It's okay.
But no, like he's sitting there yanking him around on shit now, and it's like, and he tells people different things. Like he tells, like, there's certain people who've heard him say he wants to be an NXT lifer because he'd get screwed if he went up to the main roster. Blah blah blah. He literally is every IWC fucking opinion in the form of a short little Shawn Michaels wannabe. Fucking, like, you don't know how you're going to get used on the main roster until you go there. So if he wants to stay big fish in a small pond because his ego is that fucking big, that's on him. If he wants to take a chance and go up to the main roster, that's also on him. And all honesty, yes, the way Vince thinks is going to be you're too short. Yeah, you know something, but Daniel Bryan was too short too. So you can't fucking, how do I say this? You don't know what's going to fucking happen. But if you're going to sit here and fucking big league them when you're still in developmental where you've been for 5 fucking years because you've never wanted to go up to the main roster during that time. Sorry, no. Go be with your fucking girlfriend over with the fucking Cookie Monkey kids and fuck off.
Don't know what you got till it's gone. No. Okay.
Go be your girlfriend's dental assistant. Fuck off.
I think. All right, I'm gonna put this question out there just because of the way you're sounding. Like, did something happen between you and Adam Cole when he was on the Indies that I don't know about, or are you just that much of an Adam Cole hater?
Adam Cole's just got a fucking ego and thinks he's the second coming of God, and he's not. Like I said before, all four guys in the fucking Undisputed Era all have fucking egos.
Now, all right, so let me rephrase the question. Is this something you know firsthand, or is this just something you're pulling out of the... This is not me disagreeing with you. I just want to know, like...
Second hand.
I mean, you've said your piece about Bobby Fish. I'm not going to bring that up again because you and I are on different ends of the stick on that one. So, I'm not asking you to name names. I'm just kind of curious. Like
first and second hand.
Okay, who's first hand?
3 of the 4.
All right, so Roddy was an ROH guy, so I
heard conflicting shit in on Kyle O'Reilly.
So Kyle's the only one that's not first hand. Okay. I'm curious as to who. I'm trying to think because Adam didn't do a. I mean, Adam was an. I'm just trying to think of where firsthand you would have.
Adam Cole's one of those guys who went to Japan and came back thinking was king shit of fuck mountain. Same thing Bobby Fish did.
He was in Japan for all that long. He didn't do a whole lot of Japan.
Yeah, no shit. Neither was Bobby Fish. There's a lot of guys.
Bobby Stay was longer than Adams.
I'm telling you this from experience. There's a lot of indie guys who lived in the Northeast United States who went to Japan for a seminar or for a cup of coffee and came back thinking they were the second coming of God. Adam Cole's one of those. Bobby Fish is one of those. Fucking Danny Miles is one of those. A lot of guys that I've come across that think because they went and did a fucking seminar or a fucking weekend and a half in Japan, thinking they know everything about the fucking business. And that's not the case.
Okay. I mean, I can't argue the hypothetical of going to Japan for a week or two and then coming back thinking they know everything. I don't know.
The only person that didn't is Dave Cole.
What, go to Japan and then come back thinking they're king shit?
Exactly. Dave came back humble as shit.
Well, that's because Dave is Dave. I mean, you know Dave a lot better than I do, but I think I know him enough to know Dave is Dave.
And what was bad was when Dave came back humble as shit, there were a lot of guys who did that route before. They were like, you couldn't fucking cut it. And they were guys that were there for the same amount of time that he was.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah. Like I said, guys who went to Japan for a cup of coffee think they're king shit of fuck mountain.
All right. We're going to move on because I don't know. I feel like we'll just move on. All right. So now, okay. Now is where I wouldn't say interesting, but this is where I think we might butt heads again. Let's take the second route. And let's take the Bray Wyatt pot and dump that into the Adam Cole pot. Let's just say, okay, bear with me. Let's say Bray and WWE can't see eye to eye.
Okay.
When rediscussing terms.
Okay.
And let's say Cole is as big of a dick as you say he is. You mentioned Cole having his girlfriend. Well, I think it's fiance now, isn't it? Didn't he propose to her? Whatever. Britt Baker's over as the women's champion in AEW. Bray has obviously seen a number of former WWE talents go over there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Cole goes to AEW and Bray at least gets into talks with AEW. I'm not going to go so far as to say Bray signs with them because I'm more of the opinion Bray would talk but never pull the trigger with them.
I don't even think Bray would talk to them.
But let's at least say they both have discussions and at least one of them goes over there. This now makes me think a little deeper about where things started with AEW and what they transitioned into. AEW...
We're not going to be the dumping ground for XWEW, guys.
I'm getting somewhere. Hang on, okay? AEW is putting together a business model we have seen attempted and failed. Okay? And we'll get to that in just a second. But first, let me tell you about our friends again at Mohawk Honda. The king of the teas. That's what I was in radio. I'm going to do it here. Our friends over at Mohawk Honda, Freeman's Bridge Road, Scotia, Glenville. And yes, I'm keeping your mic on, JJ, because you can pipe in if you want to say something. I really don't care. But Mohawk Honda, let me tell you, the summer keeps going on, and that means the closer we get to the end of summer and into fall, more likely 2021s are going to start going on sale, and they're suddenly going to become highly desired vehicles because 2022s are right around the corner. But let me tell you something. There's also some tremendous inventory out there for used cars, but not everywhere. There's places out there where you would think they'd have a great inventory, but really, they don't. They got fucked over by COVID, and it screwed up their inventories. There's news all over the place about used cars being on speedways. There's a speedway in Kentucky with like thousands of trucks just chilling, doing nothing, that need to be delivered to dealerships. And now what? Oh, they'll take your used car. They'll give you money for yours. Well, they ain't got shit to give back to you. That's why you got to go to Mohawk Honda, all right? Acres upon acres of used car inventory, certified pre-owned vehicles, not some random shit you're going to see on Craigslist, all right? Actually fully inspected used vehicles that'll fit whatever budget you need it to fit into, and they will take care of you because they value service and they value your lifestyle and the values you want, that you deserve out of your vehicle, whether it's just for you or a whole family, you, the kids, the wife, the husband, whatever. Make sure you go check them out. Mohawk Honda, Freeman's Bridge Road, disconnecting, where selection is king and no one has more to choose from. Mohawk Honda, Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, Glenville, where they always go out of their way to please you. Now, getting to the point I'm making. So, AEW started as this indie darling company, essentially. It was Bucks. Cody's kind of an exception to the rule, but it was Bucks. It was Hangman. It was Omega. And then they brought in...
It was Marty Scurll. Oops.
Just all the... We won't get into that, but just off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of guys that have been there since the beginning. There was Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. There's been Dark Order, like Evil Uno and Stu Grayson were there since the beginning. But then you saw them bring it in, slowly transitioning into not just being a company focused on talents that haven't gotten a mainstream coverage before, but they slowly worked into bringing in ex-WWE talents or talents you saw on national TV before. The first three being, and nobody's really going to fucking say this, the first one's being Billy Gunn, who was brought in as a coach originally, and Colt Cabana, and then all of a sudden, oh, WWE is releasing guys. Oh, let's go sign them.
Yep.
Do you realize what they're doing? They're essentially WCW from 1995, 1996. Okay? Now, this is not me saying the talent level is the same between the two. This is just me saying the business model of what they're doing, aside from the fact that WCW wasn't really doing house shows until they decided to put Nitro on the air, but that's neither here nor there. The business model itself, as far as roster transactions, for lack of a better phrase, is exactly the same as WCW from 95-96.
Yep.
They had a Southern-based roster that, if they were to go national, had no real footing aside from the southern part of the U.S. where these talents were widely known and celebrated, aside from really Ric Flair. But Ric Flair, I mean, is Ric Flair, so fuck, he'd work anywhere. But like you have the Southern Boys, you have Dynamic Dudes. Although I think Shane had left for ECW by that time, but that's neither here nor there. Fucking Christ. I mean, just a whole bunch of shit going on that only worked for Southern wrestling. Then they signed Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan leads to Duggan, Savage,
Beefcake,
Tenta, so on and so forth. And then obviously NWO opens the door for more with Nash and Hall and so on and so forth. So, this is where I'm going with this.
Someone else did it too.
The first question.
TNA from 07 to 2011. Same shit.
True. So here's... Now you mentioned that actually adds a layer to the question. So now we have three mirroring business models. WCW 95-96. TNA late 2000s, we'll call it. AEW 2021. Actual success / failure versus potential success / failure. How are you ranking the three? And don't base your WCW opinion on the fact they would close down by 2001.
You know how you make a copy of a copy and it's fuzzier than the original?
Yes.
You remember the movie Multiplicity?
I remember it, but I don't recall the movie.
It was basically the whole cloning thing, and what happened was they made Michael Keaton made too many clones, and the fourth one was a copy of the second one.
Right, yeah.
And he was like freaking tarded as fuck.
Yes.
AEW was 4.
Okay. That's your okay, all right. This is where I'm going to slightly disagree because I'm assuming that means you're putting Jesus. So that means you're basically going to stick with the order and the way I presented them to you. 1, 2, 3. This is where I'm going to slightly disagree with you. And I can't believe I'm actually saying something positive about AEW in this respect. But I would put AEW 2 with the potential. Now you might freak, but don't freak. Number 2 with the potential to be 1. Now, before you knee-jerk reaction, let me explain. 90% of the guys they brought in to TNA were either one-offs, over the hill, or couldn't work to begin with. The only guys they brought in from WWE that could really do anything anymore, off the top of my head, were Christian Cage and Kurt Angle.
Booker T, the Dudley Boys, Ken Kennedy.
The Dudley Boys were clearly at the end of their rope. Kennedy had too much ego to work with anyone.
Bullshit. I've worked with Kennedy, and he's a great fucking dude.
Okay,
was this internet rumor bullshit?
Well, any way you look at it, he was never going to be put in a position to succeed because whatever reputation he had, it preceded him, and it was what it was.
Jeff Hardy was there too.
Jeff Hardy was in the midst of ravaging himself outside the ring.
Just saying, there were more WWE guys here that weren't over the hill.
What would you take? 98, 99, 2000 Jeff Hardy or TNA Jeff Hardy?
Neither, but that's just me.
Work with me here. Work with me. Any hooser. When you look at the talents AEW has acquired, not including Sting, we're not including Sting for this conversation because we both agree he shouldn't have even been signed, let alone been put in wrestling gear. You take Sting out of the equation. What WWE talents have they brought in that can't work? Well, let's put it this way. We know Andrade still has stuff left in the tank. Moxley has stuff left in the tank. Christian Cage, I could take or leave. Matt Hardy, yeah, I could take or leave him. FTR. Jericho is like a fucking cyborg. He's going to live forever, I guess. Although the labors of Jericho were becoming laborious to watch, honestly.
Hager was never any good.
Hager cornered himself into a position where there's not much you can do with him since he became an MMA fighter after he left WWE.
So,
if we're being honest with ourselves, I mean, like character-wise, he put himself into a corner. That's his own fucking fault. But it's neither here nor there. So now the question becomes:
technically, he got kicked out of the PC.
As far as who?
Luchasaurus.
I'm not even counting that. Now the reason I say they could potentially get to number one is because WCW had the same thing. They're bringing all the old guys. Now Randy Savage still has stuff left in the tank. Hogan, he still had draw, but like in ring Hulk never really could do anything to begin with, except when he was in Japan and allowed to actually chain wrestle. But as far as the American version of Hulk Hogan, he never did anything that was worthwhile more than 8 minutes. Are you going to disagree with me on that?
Ask Linda. You are crazy.
Hacksaw Shell was like, no. Tenta, no.
Justin.
Who?
Justin.
Oh, when he came back as 7? We being fucking serious right now?
That gimmick right away.
What did Dustin do when he came back to WCW? Did he do anything?
No.
Huh?
Last time Saturday Night in Thunder, that's all I remember.
Like, you're helping prove my point, all right? They were bringing in guys in their 40s, and hell, who knows, maybe even 50s. I mean, DiBiase didn't even work a match in the ring because he couldn't. Virgil, like, ooh, Virgil, congratulations. What?
Because he had already been relegated to manager when Vince had him for 2 years.
Right. Okay. But, like, were you really going to put him in the ring at that point? Was there any value to putting him in the ring at that point?
X-Pac, he was still young. He ended up being in the best shape of his life when he came back to WWE after WCW closed.
Yeah, because he probably snorted all the weight out of him. I just pulled a U. That was fucked up. But my point is, they're not just like, it seems like they're just willy-nilly throwing contracts at anyone that comes out of WWE, but at least they're throwing them at guys that still have something left in the tank to offer. Like, they're not just saying, oh, Goldberg, you're on your Legends contract. Let's sign you for the fuck of it. They're not going to go knocking on Ric Flair's door because he suddenly doesn't have a contract with WWE. Like, no, they're not gonna. They're not gonna.
They might.
They're not gonna.
If Tony Khan thinks that there is money on the table to do a 4 Horsemen reunion, even for one episode of Dynamite, he is going to throw money at Ric Flair.
Not going to happen. Even if he does throw money at him, I know Rick's got a lot of well, I don't know if he still has a lot of alimony, but I don't know. He's got the cush life. He's in commercials. He's in rap videos. What the fuck does he need?
All that money goes to alimony, dude.
Okay, but it's still a cush life. It's like, all right, let me just ride on Charlotte's coattails for 5 to 10 years. Like, fuck it. Oh, God. Anyways, point being, as long as AEW gets their shit together creatively, there is potential for them to surpass. Now, I know you're laughing. I know you're laughing because you're an asshole. But let me. Oh, you ass. You are an ass. You are truly an ass. But if they ever get their shit together, why am I trying to talk positive about AEW? What the fuck has happened to me? What am I doing? Did aliens come down and take over my body? Actually, you know what? No, I know what it was. This is actually something I meant to mention at the start of the episode. I know exactly what the fuck it was. All right? All right? So, I don't know if you can see it very well. You see those scratches?
Kind of.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to know where they're from? Your guess is as good as mine. I have no fucking clue. So clearly aliens came down. I felt them on my shoulder this morning. They're on my shoulder blade. So clearly, in the middle of the night, aliens came into my bedroom, took possession of my soul, and said, "You will talk possibly about AEW today." That's what happened. That's what the fuck happened. But I'm telling you, if TK can pull the heads out of the asses of all the EVPs, get them all on the same page, and say, "Look, you're not making this easy for me. You are not making this easy for me." You know what? We're moving on. I'm done. We're moving on because I can't. All right.
It's like that scene in Back to School when Rodney Dangerfield's in the economics class and the teacher's trying to teach one way and Rodney Dangerfield's like, "No, that's not how this works in the real world."
Let's move on to this. Let's move on to this. So apparently we got 2 more examples this week of how nothing is sacred anymore, including retirements. The first example,
lottery balls. I called it.
The first example is make me look like a complete fucking jerk off for even halfway believing this asshole. Leo Rush, Lionel Green, whatever the fuck you want to call him, suddenly decided to come out this week and say that he has been deemed medically clear from whatever fucking injury he pussyfooted his way out of WWE with, or and MLW. He pussyfooted out of there too. And I'm assuming, one would assume he put that out there because he wants to do indie bookings again. Or maybe he wants to renegotiate with MLW. Or maybe he wants to renegotiate with WWE. Maybe he wants to go back to AEW after making the one appearance at the Casino Battle Royale, whatever the fuck that was. Who the fuck knows? Point is, Leo Rush, let me put it this way. He's a money-grubbing whore.
We called it what? Like back like episode what? 3?
We did.
2 months.
We did. But a part of me wanted to believe he would actually go away. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I remembered, wait a minute. This motherfucker just punched out another kid. God damn it.
Leo Rush, ACH, Davey Richards, lottery balls, retirement lottery. Oh, who's retired this month? Oh, who's coming back this month?
Now, what's the other example you're asking? Well, we're just going to transition from we're going to transition to let me find the here we go. We're going to transition right into AEW TF. I think you know where I'm going with this second example. So I watched 2 different parts of Dynamite last night.
You're lucky. I watched almost the whole thing.
Once, the first part was, and I was happy that it was right away, so I could turn it right off.
Oh,
I wanted to see the Chris and Hoovy clusterfuck it was going to be, and sure enough, it turned out to be a clusterfuck because Chris Jericho's 235 pounds. He's not 210 anymore.
Was Hoovy wearing?
Although I was halfway impressed that Jericho was able to do a spinning Judas effect. That was for being a fat old man. That was halfway impressive. What were you saying about Hoovy? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Hoovy was under the mask. Yeah. Chris was trying to rip it off at one point, and so like
that's respectful.
What do you mean that's respectful?
Once you lose the fucking mask in Lucha, you never put it on again. You take it off.
It's 2021.
You can wear it to the ring and then you take it off.
You think they give a shit?
I don't give that still true in Mexico. Go down to Mexico and see a luchador that's lost his mask. I want him to try to come out in the mask the next show.
I get what you're saying.
Even Psychosis to this day will wear the mask.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Anywho's
Movie's a whore.
Anywho's and then eventually they reveal Wardlow as the fourth labor, which is whatever, with MJF as the referee, by the way.
I mean,
and then I basically turned it off as. Come again?
We all know what this is building to. We all know he's going to get to all through the labors to get to MJF, and then he's going to do the job to MJF because he's going on tour with this fucking band. Oh wait, COVID's going to come back, so he's not going to tour with this band. So he's fucking.
Didn't I tell you to give up the COVID shit for now? Didn't I tell you 45 minutes ago to let the COVID shit go? We'll cross that bridge next week. Okay, how about that? I'll let you have a whole segment about COVID if you want. I'll let you break out your charts, your graphs, your pictures, your taped interviews with Joe Biden. I don't give a fuck. I will give you a whole segment. Shit, I'll give you a whole show if you can pull that together. I'll give you an exclusive for Godzilla Media. JJ does COVID with JJ Alexander. I don't fucking know. That's the best title I can think of off the top of my head. You fuck. Anyways. I turned off the TV initially once the Fat Bucks were getting introduced. If you don't know who the Fat Bucks are, it's Everrise. Because I'm sorry, they're not Everrise. They're 2.0. That's a hell of a fucking name for a team. 2.0.
Are they 2.0 because they're trying to be Young Bucks 2.0?
Does that mean they're AOL and we gotta listen to a dial tone before they start moving at all? Sorry. That was a horrible technology joke. Anyways. So the only reason I turned it back on, because I DVR it, so usually I want to wait until I can zizz through it and be like, okay, that happened. Okay, great. Although I'll admit, I was looking at Twitter at one point at around like 9:30, and I saw a picture of Camille Brickhouse and Layla Hirsch and had to laugh. Because
she's an Oompa Loompa.
I mean, that's fucked up, but I get what you're trying to say. She doesn't have the orange makeup and the green hair. That's
right. But what I'm saying, she's like what, 4'5"?
Oh, she's halfway there. Never mind. But no, I turned it back on because hold on. I'm gonna try to say this word for word. You sent me a message on Facebook Messenger. Let me see here. Where are we? Okay. You sent me a message saying hell froze over.
Jesus, fuck, hell froze over.
I was trying to surmise it, but thank you. I had no idea what you were talking about. And then you said Cody did the job. So I turned it on because I was like, there's still 5 minutes left in the show. That's fucking weird. Why would they go early? So I turn it back on, and I see the way Cody is emoting while talking to Tony Schiavone and eventually shooing Tony out of the ring. And I'm like, this motherfucker is going to retire from his in-ring career and focus on behind the scenes. Like, I knew where the segment was going as soon as he sent Tony out of the ring. I was like, huh, ain't this some shit? Like, I was trying to hold my excitement until I saw it actually happen, but I knew the tenor of where this was going. Kind of like when you saw Mark Henry walk out in a salmon jacket and talk the way he was talking on Raw that one night. You knew where that was going, quote unquote. So he's to the point where he can't say what he wants to say. So he wants to show what he wants to say by slowly starting to take off his boots and leave him in the ring, because that's the time-honored tradition in wrestling, is you take off your boots and leave them in the middle of the ring to show that you're done with the business forever. Or whatever the fuck JR and Excalibur were saying. So he gets off the left boot, and as he's undoing the right boot, he couldn't quite get it off because Tommy End shows back up after beating the shit out of Cody and hits him in the back with a crutch, and it goes off the air with Cody face down the mat with a boot still on, and Malachi Black just looking like Malachi Black over Cody, which means this miserable fuck is going to get a match back at pay-per-view, and guess what? He's probably not retiring. He's going to beat Malachi Black to get his revenge. Yep. And then he's not going to retire for 5 years.
Because what did I fucking say? What did I say? Fucking, like, if Cody had just given him the win, it would have been fine. Like, it would have been fucking, it would, like, because then it would have been like, oh, they're actually going to do something with this guy now. Number one, that was a WWE match if I've ever fucking seen one. And a terrible one at that. You didn't watch the match.
No.
Dude, it was a typical Cody AEW match where I've got to find a way to fucking go through a table on the outside so I can gig, so I can come back in and look strong.
Who gigged? Because I didn't see any blood on either of them.
No, I'll tell you. So, Cody was going to the top rope. Black comes over. Black kicks him. Now, when you get kicked in the face like this and you're hunched on a turnbuckle, you fall forward.
Right.
You don't then look over your shoulder, post, and then jump off and go through the fucking timekeeper's table. We'll go back and watch it. It's fucking terrible. Like, it's worse than the table spot he took against Nick Aldis at the first All In. Then,
which I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look that up.
What?
I don't remember that spot particularly, but I'll go look it up.
Like, I mean, just as far as going through the table for the sake of going through a table.
Right. I'll look that spot up because I don't remember
it.
Right.
And so then you see him outside forever because he's trying to get the gig out to fucking gig, because that's what Cody has to do. The only way Cody knows how to get sympathy is to gig. And no one gives a fuck. He comes back in, gets the black mass, 1, 2, 3, flat. You go and look, and they're like, oh, Cody's got it, and he's got a little nick right here on his nose.
On the bridge of his nose, right.
Because that's where he was trying to gig and fucked up and broke the gig.
Huh.
Because Cody doesn't know how to gig. I mean, we've seen Cody gig 1,000 times from nothing. But literally, that's what he did. And then it's like, dude, here's where you buried Malachi Black. He goes up the ramp. He's gone for 25 seconds. Cody's up and completely clear-headed and speaking normal. You get kicked in the fucking head, you're knocked out. You don't fucking get up 10 seconds later. You just fucking, yeah, you laid down for the guy and then you no-sold his finish. Fuck you. And honestly, like, that whole segment went 5 minutes too long afterwards, because it should have been Cody being like, oh, But Black should just come right back out, kicked him in the face, then shut the fuck up and walked off camera.
Or they could just never do that and just have him beat the shit out of Cody for the rest of the segment.
But then Cody wouldn't have gotten the last word.
But that would have accomplished the same fucking thing they did. But they did it. It's just same result, different approach.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, in the real world, if a dude got up and started talking shit 10 seconds after you knocked him the fuck out, you come over and knock him the fuck out again.
Right.
So right there, they buried his finish and they buried the lead. Then Cody starts talking, and then, of course, Cody's got to fucking take 30,000 more fucking jabs at WWE. We're not the alternative. We are the competition. Dude, fuck off and run your own shit. Stop worrying about what's happening on the other fucking channel. You know why? Because you're not going to get any of those fucking viewers. You think you are, but you're not. And then just sit there and be like, oh, no, blah, blah, blah. And they're having to fucking pipe in crowd noise over the crowd chanting, na, 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 na. The crowd doesn't fucking want Cody there anymore. They're sick of him. Because fucking dude still hasn't learned the Homelander's a heel. But, and like, why is he coming out with Dustin and not Arn? Wasn't Arn the one that got knocked the fuck out by Malachi Black? Like, every dimension of that match and the aftermath is proof of AEW not knowing what the fuck they are doing creatively. And that's why I laugh when you say, oh, well, they'll figure it out. No, they're never going to figure it out because Cody, the dude that came from the WWE system, the dude that was raised by possibly the greatest booker that ever fucking lived, can't figure this shit out. By the way, I would really like to know when the fuck Dusty Rhodes dropped the NWA title in Madison Square Garden. And Cody was the ref. When the fuck did that happen? I'm trying to figure out when that happened. Because that's legit what he said in that fucking promo. I was a referee, I was 15, and I wanted the title back that they took away from my daddy in the garden that night. I don't remember Cody being a ref at 15. I don't remember Dusty losing any fucking title in Madison Square Garden. Ever. You alive? Oh, okay. I can't hear you, dude.
Sorry, I have my mic muted. I have my mic muted because my throat and nose are being a little crazy.
Oh.
So I was trying to comprehend what you were saying, and I'm thinking, because like I wasn't really, because honestly, I didn't really comprehend what he was trying to say in that part of the promo. So I'm like, garden. Yeah.
Louisville Gardens, maybe, but honestly, I don't remember Dusty ever dropping a title there either.
Or Boston Garden.
Or Dusty worked in the South.
I know. That's why I'm trying to rule out anything.
And usually when you say the garden,
it's MSG. I know what you mean. Yes.
It was Marvin Gardens. He was playing Monopoly at home, and they whooped his daddy's ass.
Jeez.
His daddy was like, I will mortgage the NWA title to get more hotels on Boardwalk. I ate Baltic and Ross Avenue.
What? Are you trying to create like a ghetto version of Monopoly right now? What are you doing? Jesus. Anyways. I'm so confused right now.
That wasn't even scratching the surface of fucking stupid shit that happened on AEW.
Well, let's get into one other piece of stupid shit from AEW before we transition into. You have two more stupid shits. All right.
First, I want to talk about the continuation of Pizza Cutter Gate.
All right, you do that, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll see if mine covers your second one. As he's holding a goddamn pizza cutter. Jesus Christ.
So
where do you get these props? What do you just say, hey, hon, where's this? Where's that?
My kitchen's right there. There's a doorway here, and there's my kitchen. It didn't take much to do. Anyways. So the whole thing was...
Oh, I know what you're going to bring up. Go ahead. I know what you're going to bring
up. Domino's is threatening to yank the advertisements from AEW.
Right.
Which, amazingly enough, there were no Domino's advertised last night. There were Little Caesars, but not Domino's.
Again, I only watched like a quarter of the show with that.
Yeah. And the thing was, so Pabst Blue Ribbon has a Twitter account that, much like the Wendy's Twitter account, loves to troll other accounts. Like, if you ever follow...
Well aware.
What?
Well aware. Very well aware of that.
Okay, good. So you know that. Okay.
Yes.
So PBR is basically the same way. So PBR at Tony Khan and AEW going, yo, we'll take them Domino spots. Like, as a joke. Pabst Blue Ribbon's never done a commercial. Ever.
Like, not that I can recall.
They don't need to. Like, even fucking Miller stopped running commercials in like the early 90s. Like, and the thing is, I drink Pabst. Like, I'm a beer snob, but I drink Pabst because that's how I am. I'm a man of many layers. So I really hate.
I'm a man of many layers.
Yes.
Keep going. Keep going.
I like parfaits.
Because I like onions.
Parfait. So I really hate people dogging on Pabst for all the shit. The thing was, it was literally a joke. And then they literally were like, yo, Tony, our DMs are open. Like, it was a complete joke. But of course, the internet wrestling community are a bunch of fucking morons and think, oh, they're going to do that. No, never fucking happened. But apparently, Tony Khan is that much of a fucking mark where he goes and takes a bunch of people from Impact and films a fake Pabst Blue Ribbon commercial and labels it Major PBR. That's literally, the emblem said Major PBR. It never said Pabst Blue Ribbon. And the logo looked vaguely like the Pabst Blue Ribbon logo, but it wasn't. And it was like one of those fake beer commercials you would see on SNL in the early 90s. And there was fucking Hawkins and Cardona and Hornswoggle and Chelsea Green. Like, fuck off. Like, you know what's going to happen now? Now, Miller Brewing, SAB Miller, who owns Pabst Brewing, may just decide to come after you with a cease and desist for fucking imitating their brand. Because that's smart. Because that's mature.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, let me get to the last thing I had on my AEW TF list, which I think might cover the one you had, unless there was something else that happened on Dynamite that I don't know about.
Taking it to the max.
Yeah, basically. So Max Caster, if you don't watch AEW Dynamite, let me explain. So Max Caster and I believe it's Anthony Bowens is the other guy. Yes. They are a tag team called The Acclaimed. Number 2 in the tag team rankings for AEW. Anyways.
Not anymore.
Well, they were as of the taping for AEW Dark that was aired. So they were scheduled in a match for AEW Dark which is one of the YouTube shows AEW posts every week. I want to say it was Tuesday night. I think it went to air. Anyways, so
Dark airs on Monday nights.
Is it Dark Elevation or Dark? Anyway, why would you fucking name 2 YouTube shows the same fucking thing? Anyways, so they taped the episode. They taped the matches for the episode in Charlotte the week prior. And what the Acclaim does is that when they come to the ring and while their music is still going, on a lower volume, Caster does a rap while walking to the ring. and then Bowen says some slogan for them at the very end, and then they go into the ring and they wrestle. So Caster decided to do a freestyle rap in which he, for lack of a better phrase, belittled the mental health issues of U.S. gymnast Simone Biles, made reference to the Duke lacrosse rape case that was eventually dismissed and thrown out, and with the lacrosse players found not guilty, and essentially called Julia Hart a whore. And this made air. It offended so many people and caused such a reaction that eventually AEW pulled it off YouTube, edited out the promo, the pre-show promo, and then re-uploaded the episode to YouTube. And then the following morning, which was yesterday, Wednesday, August 4th, Tony Khan was doing his weekly Wednesday spot on Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM with Dave LaGreca, and I want to say was it Tommy or Bubba Ray? I think it was Bubba co-hosting, but who gives a shit? Any hooser, Tony was doing his weekly Wednesday spot and was asked about it and was very blunt and direct with his answer and basically said, I do the editing for all of Dynamite, but after what happened, I'm taking over editing for both YouTube broadcasts as well, weekly.
Have fun having life.
Which is the reaction you gave me, along with basically saying he's going to become a coke addict now. Good job.
No, he already is.
I
can smell a coke addict when I see one, dude.
Oh, Jesus. Anyways, which is interesting because who'd you tell me was the original editor of Dynamite? Of AEW Dark before this happened?
As far as I knew, it was Taz.
Who apparently decided, yeah, I worked at ECW. That promo's fine. It's not 1996 anymore, Taz. That shit doesn't fly. Come on, dude. Come on, Pete. What are you doing? Jesus.
Honestly, I've never cared for Max Caster anyways.
Well, who has, really? All right.
Because let me tell you a little Max Caster story.
Oh, there's a story. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Please do continue.
So, years ago, and they still happen, Bob Evans from ROH does the Hangs with Bob seminars. He goes around to various indies throughout the country, and he sits there, and they go over basic ring fundamentals, but he also sits there and gives you a lot of life coaching lessons. Bob's a nice guy. Always like Bob. I've been at a couple of these because I've gone to scout talent. There's one thing that Bob always tells people, and that's if you want to contact a promoter, open up a dialogue in a normal, casual fashion. Talk to them like a person. Don't be a fucking robot.
That makes sense.
He said, no promoter, and I would raise my hand and say, I can attest to this. No promoter wants to open up their DMs and see, hi, my name is such and such. I was trained by such and such. These are all the matches I've had. These are all the people I've worked. Here's a bunch of pictures of me. Here's my entrance music. Book me now. Because it's fucking annoying. Same day. Same fucking day. I go home. I check the inbox for Dissension Pro Wrestling. 3 people who were at that seminar I was at did exactly that. I'll give you a guess as to who one of them was.
Max Caster. He worked in Northeast? I don't even remember him from the Northeast.
He fucking worked Connecticut a bunch of times. He worked for fucking Blitzkrieg.
That's helpful. Hey, really? You know how many promotions I've worked for in New England. Really? Blitzkrieg, that fucking helps me. I know what Blitzkrieg is. I'm not fucking stupid, but come on. You know my loyalties lie, you asshole. Anyways.
I know, but still, It's just utterly ridiculous. Like, I knew back then you don't listen. So this didn't surprise me.
Let's switch gears now. We talked enough AEW shit. I need to cleanse my
One
soul.
more thing.
Oh, go
One
ahead.
more thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Daly's Place. They did a different setup for Daly's Place last night. They only had one tunnel.
True.
You know why they did that? So they could fit in more seats. You know what
Which
they
they probably
didn't
didn't
do?
need.
Fill in more seats. They took away the floor seats on Hardcam side. And the upper decks were all empty. So, time of death. How long did it take AEW to start being on the road again before they started drawing lighthouses? 3 weeks? Just saying. I'll be surprised to see how full that arena in Pittsburgh is. Not to mention the debacle with the United Center. We sold it out. They literally cut it in half.
Well, I could have told you they were going to rope off the upper bowl.
They didn't
I
rope
knew
off
that.
the upper bowl. They legit, here's
They
the
basically
bowl.
do what they did with the MGM Grand, and they cut it in half.
It in half down the center.
That's what they did with the MGM Grand when they went there in Vegas.
Yeah. So you can't say you sold out a 23,000 seat arena when there's only 9,000 and change seats that are open, and most of those went to ticket brokers.
I'm trying to think. I think they also did the same thing. Well, they didn't do the same exact thing. They did something similar. Not the TNA show that I referenced. There's 2 TNA shows that ever came around here where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Not the one where I did the pre-show thing. The other one I went to.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same kind of seat map for that show. Yeah. And we're not as big as the United Center. The arena was 14 grand. So, anyways, well, it was TNA. What'd you fucking expect? Anyways, let's get off. Let's talk about the reputable company. Let's talk about WWE. Now, if you're watching on YouTube or seeing this strip, you should know automatically where this is going. Consider this an angry moment for me right now.
Somebody's mad.
Can we please stop with the talk about John Cena being the GOAT? Can we please fucking stop it? I know WWE likes to pretend that wrestling didn't exist before 1997. Stop it! John Cena is not the greatest of all time. Sports entertainer? Maybe. Not. So if he's not even the best sports entertainer of all time, he's not the greatest wrestler of all time. Fuck off, WWE social media. Severely fuck off. Stop posting asking the question, is John Cena the GOAT? Because he's not. He's not even the best wrestler turned actor, let alone best wrestler of all time.
He's drawn the most money.
Suck a dick. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He's drawn the most money over the course of his career.
What metric are you using to say that?
Pay-per-view buys, house buys, merchandise sales. He's drawn the most.
More than Austin or Rock?
Yes. You need to realize on the Austin and Rock, while they were amazing and at the top of the game, were only there for a handful of years. Cena's been there for 20.
On and off, but okay.
For the better part of.
Well, good for them. So he's a GOAT of bringing in money. Good for them.
It's all that matters nowadays, dude, is money. Money talks.
That still doesn't change my opinion of them asking a dumb question.
Listen, he's the first one to be as humble as possible about it, but hey.
And on top of that, Rick, Mr. Alimony, stop being so humble. John's not the GOAT. You're the GOAT, motherfucker. Stop it.
Rick
Stop being humble.
Time again, if anyone should break his streak, it's John.
Give me the Ric Flair pre-heart attack, all right? Where's your ego? Did your ego die before your soul did from the heart attack? Fuck off. That was kind of deep. I didn't mean to go that deep on Rick, but you get the point.
He's so angry.
I like.
He's so
like
angry.
Off the top of my head. And we're not even discussing title reigns here. Off the top of my head. Hogan, Flair, Dusty, HBK, Austin, Taker. Do I keep going? He's not even Mount Rushmore, let alone GOAT. Like, no, seriously.
There's a lot of people that would tend to disagree with you.
But seriously though, like I'm making you laugh right now that I'm glad this is funny for you because it is meant to be partially humor. But in all seriousness, like Cena's not even Rushmore. He's not. Bruno! How did I forget Bruno? Fucking Bruno! Jesus H. Christ almighty.
I used to have this exact same reaction back in 2008.
So you disagree with me is what you're saying?
I think that when it comes to discussions like this, there's always going to be disagreements.
Of course.
There's always going to be people that have their own opinions. But I stated my case as to why they keep bringing that statement up. Honestly, I hate that fucking term GOAT. I fucking hate it. I've hated it for years. I hate hearing it when it gets regarded to fucking Tom Brady. I hate hearing it when I hate the term. Like, much like I hate the term learning tree, I hate the term GOAT.
All right, so that's two terms now I'll never bring back up on the show. Learning tree and GOAT. Congratulations, you've limited my vocabulary, jerk off.
But it's because back when I was a few years in the biz, like I could not fucking stand watching John Cena matches. It's because it was when he was getting pushed by creative to be fucking Superman. Like, and the thing was, a lot of people blamed John Cena for that time. And I was one of them until I realized that's just how he's getting booked. That's what he's being told to do. So it made me take a step back and realize, and then like you look at all the Make-A-Wish stuff that Cena's done and everything, and he's probably the second biggest company man they have, because Miz has done more PR and media than Cena has, or Cena's done Make-A-Wish. But John Cena was Hulk Hogan without the scandals. That's not yours. So I tend to not get angry about stuff like this anymore because it's all subjective. And I can see the arguments for and the arguments against. And so I just say, it lies somewhere in the middle. Don't take it so hard.
So in other words, I just brought up an argument that you couldn't fucking care less about.
No, I understand where you're coming from. because a lot of people have that opinion. But what I'm saying is, when you use a term like greatest of all time, that's always going to be subjective because all time has not happened yet. It's not until we're in the cafe at the end of the universe that we can sit there and actually have a conversation as to what every item was the greatest of all time.
Cafe at the end of the universe.
Yeah, it was the second book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
I get it. I got it. I love the reference. Thank you.
But yeah, time is subjective. So they can have this conversation now, and God knows there could be some freaking dude that comes along 85 years from now that freaking has 58 world title runs and draws $18 billion in box office. And then John Cena's not in that conversation anymore.
You know who the greatest of all time was? It was David. Because if he could beat Goliath with a slingshot, imagine what he could do with his fucking fists, man.
Didn't do it in the fucking sequel.
Huh?
There's a movie called Jerusalem. You should watch it. David gets his ass kicked by Goliath.
Why do I ever bother with a religious reference on this show? I don't know why. Anyways, all right. Let's try to breeze through, although I have a feeling we're not going to breeze through a couple of points here. From the week that was in WWE TV. The Cena Corbin segment was basically to set up what happened 45 minutes later, so we'll get by that. They're basically setting up Usos and Mysterios for SummerSlam the way that's going, because now Dominic helped Ray pin Jimmy the way Jay pinned Dominic. Right, we discussed that, and nobody has any rhyme or logic to anything. This was like the show. This was the show where segments helped set up stuff for the future, except for really one segment. We'll get to that in a second.
I love how they doubled down on the missionary position shit.
Yes, that was interesting.
There was one dude, I forget who, but I saw he tweeted and he was like, "Thanks WWE. Now I have to explain to my son what missionary position is." And I was just like, "Dude, fuck off."
Fuck off. He probably Googled it last week when Roman said it. Anyways.
Right.
So Cena Corbin set up.
Kid's got a porn up again already.
Right. So Cena Corbin opened the show, which set up 45 minutes later. Mysterio and Uso are basically setting up SummerSlam. Then Belair, Carmella, and Zelina Vega had a segment where Sasha Banks also eventually showed up, and that helped set up the main event for that night.
They couldn't
all right, there were two segments that didn't set up something for later. Reggie faces Chad Gable. Poor Chad. I feel bad. Poor Chad.
Since when does the 24/7 title get decided on a disqualification?
Since when does a title get defended at all in a regular match?
Yeah. Did you hear when they did it on Raw too? The 24/7 rules have been suspended for the duration of this match. I'm like, but if that's the case, then that means the title's not up for grabs. And oh my God, I've gone cross-eyed.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You know that exactly. They make shit for the fly. You know this already. It's WWE. Vince just said, "Fuck it, suspend the rules."
But then the title's not on the line.
That's right. Which, by the way, we're gonna come back to. We're gonna get to when we go over Raw. So hang on. No, because I don't know if you caught what I caught, but I'm gonna bring it up. So we get to the SummerSlam contract signing, which became a clusterfuck and a half. But here's the summation of what happened.
The contract became the 24/7 title.
Essentially, in a way, yeah. So Finn comes out, Roman and Paul come out, Roman cuts a promo, he signs his line of the contract, shoves the contract to Finn, Finn's about to sign it, until Baron Corbin comes out to seize an opportunity, apparently. He shit cans Finn, he's trying to sign it now. Then Cena comes out, shit cans Corbin. He grabs the contract and signs the fucking thing in blue Sharpie like a fucking school kid with his last name all in caps and then his actual
Worked for the
signature.
last president.
Touche. And then I think he handed the contract to Adam Pearce and then just left.
And then Pearce doubled down on the stupid when they came back from break.
Yes, after the break, Heyman challenges the legality of the contract because Finn Balor's name is what's typed into the contract, but Cena signed on Finn Balor's name, and Pearce and DeVille said, fuck it, it's Cena versus Roman at WrestleMania. Or at SummerSlam. I made note of it, so don't worry, I got you.
Utterly ridiculous.
Like, what kind of fuckery are we doing here? Like, you basically extended the inevitable for a week for no fucking reason.
I told you that's what's going to happen.
Like, I was hoping the inevitable wasn't going to come true, and maybe we just get a random John Cena highlight match and kind of turn this into, like, the way Undertaker did WrestleMania, except it's John Cena and SummerSlam, but no. Fuck all. No, apparently not. Then came the second segment that wasn't setting up anything. They basically redid the 6-man tag from the previous week. That was a dark match 6-man tag because they did it in the arena while showing the festival matches of Dawkins Gable and Belair Carmella, which was Big E, Cesaro, Nakamura against Cruz, Rude, and Dolph. With the faces going over. Edge.
That's going to set up because now looks like we're going to get another Nakamura IC title run.
I would go with that. Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
They're setting up Nakamura and Apollo.
I would lean that way. Yes. Then Edge does a promo. He gets laid up by Seth Rollins. Obviously, that's setting up for SummerSlam as well. And then the end of the night, Sasha and Bianca team up against Carmella and Zelina. Sasha and Bianca win. Then Sasha lays out Belair after the match, which I think we all pretty much saw coming. And then basically sets up
well enough alone.
They basically set up Sasha Bianca 2 for SummerSlam is what it looks like.
They couldn't have left well enough alone. Like, they had Sasha. Now, I love all the people be like, oh, Sasha's a new Big Show. She flips back and forth. Sasha was technically still a babyface when she faced Bianca at Mania. She was showing heel tendencies, but she hadn't completely flipped heel. Now, you bring Sasha back. You bring her as a babyface just to have her snap at the end of SmackDown. Everyone saw it coming. It would have been a lot more. You would have gotten some more juice out of that fucking tomato if you had the embrace, you had them win the tag match, have Sasha be like, I would really like a fucking rematch. Bianca goes, of course, girl, we've been through so much together. They hug. They have the match at SummerSlam. Bianca gets the win. Sasha snaps then. See? Titus agrees.
Really? You're gonna use the dog as your agreement?
He knows I got good booking. That's right, he's my boy.
Well, we knew you did good booking. I mean, why would I be working with you if you didn't do good booking?
But honestly, it would have been better. You would have had the turn on a much bigger stage, and it would have been the aha moment, like when Nakamura flipped heel on AJ and gave him, and the dick punch was heard around the world.
Oh yeah, I had to think about that for a second, and while I'm clearing notes from the show.
I became a Nakamura fan. I wasn't sold on him until that day.
You like, Anyways, all right, so let's go to Raw. Can we just make a general gentleman's agreement here?
Okay.
Any segment where you're trying to put a champion that sucks with a guy whose promos suck, and you take them and put them together, it's a cringeworthy segment. That whole opening segment of Raw made me want to go vomit in the bathroom.
You see how they recast Noam Dar as Gage Goldberg?
You can signal your angry tweets to @JJ_Alexander. any tweets for being offended by that content can tweet at JJ_Alexander. Yeah, that whole, even though Lashley didn't talk, that whole opening segment was just cringe, including the inclusion of Goldberg's son. That was just, I don't know. McIntyre goes over Veer and Shanky by DQ because Jinder Mahal interferes. Can you explain something, by the way? Because I didn't catch this whole story.
Okay.
What was the whole to-do about Drew and his sword, and something was said? I don't know. There was some to-do about something that Drew said regarding his sword. I don't know. Was it the penis reference he made about it being so big or something like that? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because the one they've got him using now is even bigger than the one he was using.
Correct.
Like, the one he's using is literally like fucking over 5 feet long.
Is that what that's what it was?
Yeah,
that's a different sword.
It's
People need to get a
different
fucking
sword,
life. Get a fucking life.
Hey. However, I got a 3-day ban from Twitter. Or not from Twitter, from Facebook, because of that angle.
Yeah.
And I didn't even do this shit because someone said, "What, is Drew gonna stab everyone?" Because Drew was out there freaking pointing with the sword, and because I admin a group where it was said all of the admins got a 3-day ban.
I love Facebook. So next we get Rhea beating Nia Jax. And then Nia and Shayna had a verbal exchange. It looks like they're basically trying to break up Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Finally. But did I miss something? Like, how did Nia get opened up?
I don't know. I noticed that myself.
Because all of a sudden she had like a face full of blood, and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Anyways, Ali and Mansoor lose to Dio Madden and Donovan Dijakovic. Oh, I mean Mason T-Bar, excuse me.
It's the first time those fuckers actually got a win on Raw.
Yeah. Charlotte does a promo and uses the beginning of it to mention Simone Biles, which that's nice. Thanks a lot. Tamina beats Doudrop. Yay. Miz TV with
vacating the women's tag belts.
Depends on how the timetable is for Natty. Miz TV with Damian Priest, because I really needed 4 segments of Damian Priest. They have Damian Priest on Miz TV. Then they have Priest beat Morrison in singles action. Then, while Sheamus comes in to do a 2-on-1 on Priest after the match, Ricochet comes out, saves Priest, which then sets up an immediate tag match of Ricochet and Priest to beat Sheamus and Morrison.
So now we'll get a 4-way for the U.S. title at SummerSlam.
Basically, yeah, that basically sums up 4 wasted segments of TV. Yeah. Riddle did the job to Omos, which God bless his soul. I feel bad for him. They had Eva and Piper attack Alexa Bliss. Oh, okay. What the fuck are we doing with Keith Lee and fucking Karrion Kross?
They gave Keith Lee his win back.
What was the fucking point? Who cares?
Because Jeff Hardy's still out with COVID, and they're like, well, you know something? Maybe we're going to do the reconstruction of Keith Lee now, so we got to give him a win to start it off. And they're going to have Kross like basically not be able to find himself until they bring Scarlett in.
Not find himself. What is he, fucking Jackson Riker 2.0? That's nice. And then Reggie beats Tozawa, but nobody cares. And then Nikki beats Charlotte in a no-holds-barred match. But here's what I caught. I don't know if you caught this. So it was all night being called a Raw Women's Championship Contenders match, which made sense. It wasn't for the title. It was introduced by Mike Rome, as a Raw Women's Title Contenders match. But did you notice what happened before the bell rang? The dumb motherfucker referee displayed the belt like it was a fucking title match. Motherfucker. We spent all night billing it as a contenders match, and you decide, oh, this must be a title match. Oh, Lavenia, what a piece of a like fucking displaying the title like it's fucking Simba in the Lion King. What are you dumb motherfucker? What are you doing? God. No wonder they want to fucking train referees down in NXT, because the ones they have don't know what the fuck they're doing. All right, now we finally get to NXT.
I am so tired of hearing Nikki ASH, and it's only been 2 weeks.
Like, and on top of that, they're doubling down on it though. They're saying almost a superhero in the beginning, and then they say Nikki ASH.
Right.
It's like, pick a fucking lane.
Yeah.
Like, either go with almost a superhero Nikki Cross or Nikki, or go to option B and just say Nikki ASH. We don't need to say the same fucking thing 2 different times within 8 words.
Like, I can tell the whole mentality is Vince is going to be like, we're going to get these stupid fans to start chanting ASH every time she comes out.
No, God, no. God, no. No, God, no.
Telling you, next 2 weeks, that's going to start getting pumped in.
Probably. NXT. Anything interesting? Well, hold on. I'm going to try to count something here real quick. Only one DQ finish on NXT. That's nice. And it was the first match, which is why I had to double check real quick. Top Dollar and Adonis get the DQ win over Wilder Mendoza because Escobar couldn't help himself and had a steel chair. Ridge Holland starting to get pushed to the moon again, beat Gyro, I can't remember how to say his name.
Gyro.
Ike Man, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Gyro. I swear he's going to be the next Yoshitatsu. So sad.
He kind of looks like Yoshitatsu, actually. Then Pete Dunne cuts a promo. Good for him. Nice to know he can still speak English. I don't know. I just like saying that. I'm just making shit up off the top of my head.
About Ridge? They're having him, like, all his mannerisms and the way he works, they're having him basically emulate 2002 Brock Lesnar. Watch old Lesnar, watch last night's Ridge Holland, or 2 nights ago Ridge Holland.
You're talking about during the matches.
Like, yeah, just the mannerisms, how he carries himself, the moves, the way he just, every movement. It was like watching old Lesnar.
I'll have to watch back the Ridge Holland match. I think I still have the DVR. Well, even if not, I think it's on the network. I think it's on the network by now, anyways. Roderick Strong beats Bobby Fish. I'm sure you're happy about that.
I fast-forwarded through that shit.
Yeah, of course you did. GYV gets the win over LA Knight and Cameron Grimes after LA Knight refuses to tag in. And then I thought we were kind of done with this shit. Yeah, they had Ted DiBiase come out and help Grimes to the back. Like, I thought we were done with this Ted shit. I don't know.
No, because we're setting up the rematch for the $1 million title at TakeOver. At which point, Cameron Grimes is going to win, and then he is going to ceremoniously take the $1 million title and hand it back to Ted DiBiase and say, "Thank you, but this is yours."
Is that a prediction? Is this you doing a Paul Heyman? This isn't a prediction. It's a spoiler. Is this what you're doing right now?
Possibly.
Okay. Poor Joe Gacy. Like, what are we doing with Joe? I'm sorry.
So we lost one match. Big deal. It was the breakout tournament. Everyone had to. Dude, fucking Briggs did the job in the first round. Like, Gacy's there. They'll do something with him.
Was he in NXT UK at one point, by the way?
Not that I know of.
I could have swore that in the highlight, you know how they did that like short highlight package right before he entered?
Yeah.
I could have swore there was a short clip of him in the NXT UK set Maybe he was an enhancement talent for an episode. I don't know. But
No, I'm thinking that was they used footage from 205 Live, which made no sense to me. But they also used footage from the unaired NXT Evolve pilot.
maybe okay, possibly. And then tell me how this makes sense. The end of the show. Johnny goes over on Dexter Loomis, Sam Shaw, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Okay? Johnny goes over. But Indy Hartwell decided to just say fuck it and go tackle Dexter for a kiss anyways. So you lose it, but then you love it? Like, we're not going to follow through, or are we just saying fuck?
Because love conquers all. Love cannot be determined through a physical contest. Love will always triumph.
Listen, Beth Phoenix, don't fucking give me your spiritual bullshit.
They're going to go with Indy left the way because she's in love. It's Romeo and Juliet.
So basically, this is an extended breakup of the way, is what you're saying. Because Austin Theory flat out walked out. What was it? The previous week? Yeah, previous week. After he lost to wait, don't tell me. Hold on. Oh fuck, who did he lose to?
I don't even remember.
It was a good match too. I can't even fucking remember. I don't think it was Bronson.
No, because Cole worked Bronson.
Was it O'Reilly?
Might have been.
I think it was O'Reilly. I think it was O'Reilly. Now that I think about it, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was O'Reilly. Anyways, so I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like it. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to intro the hot list. You in a private message. This is pulling back the curtain, folks. Just let me know your choices for the hot list, JJ, while I intro it. So the hot list, it's the final segment of our show every week where we take a topic and we break down our top 5 for said topic or debate question or whatever. So I was just coming up with random shit off the top of my head, and one thing that I brought up to JJ was, how about the are we going with matches or matches/moments?
Matches/moments.
Okay. Worst SummerSlam matches/moments of all time. Oh. Okay. All right. So, I did because I just saw JJ's listed, and that's pretty intriguing. JJ, go ahead with your number 5.
My number 5, and it sucks because I love both of these workers. It's just because it made no sense. Was Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam '92, Wembley Stadium. The whole buildup was heel versus heel because Shawn cost Martel the Intercontinental title against Bret Hart, and like neither one flipped. So it was heel versus heel, and then they had Sherry do the stipulation of neither going to hit the other one in the face, even though they hit each other in the face numerous times.
By the end of the match. Yes.
And it was just, no one cared. Like, this was the beginning of me going, Vince, why are you doing heel versus heel matches? And I was 12. Yeah.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of directions I could go. Wow. I legit have like a list here with no ranking at all, and I don't know where to go. I'll go with. I'm gonna stick with the same show as you actually for number 5, just to get it out of the way, because I really don't have much to say about it aside from once I say the 2 men involved, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I understand."
Chris versus Repo Man?
No.
Oh, okay.
Good guess. SummerSlam '92, Wembley Stadium, London, England. Nails versus Virgil.
Yeah, that was close to making my list. Yeah.
Do I really need to say anything more? Or can I just leave it at that? Nails versus Virgil.
Listen, everybody needs some fuck money.
Oh, JJ, let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's
Fuck
avoid
money,
it.
baby. Fuck money, baby.
Let's avoid the rabbit hole.
Fuck money.
Please avoid the rabbit hole. We are not going down that road.
Green and black. Green and black.
Actually, that would apply to in both directions if you think about why Nails was mad at Vince McMahon at one point. Anyways,
You tried to rape me.
yeah. Go ahead with your number 4. I had to. Sorry, I had to go that way.
So my number 4 was, and this is not a lot of people's worst lists. SummerSlam 2010, Team WWE versus the Nexus. This was the death knell in the whole Nexus angle, where every bit of momentum they had just went away. You had Bret Hart out there who couldn't wrestle anymore. They bring
trying like hell to try to, but he couldn't.
They bring back Daniel Bryan. They have Cena run through the whole Nexus by himself.
It was a John Cena.
This was during the Super Cena booking. And
yeah.
They could have booked Cena to they could have booked the Nexus to look stronger and they would have gotten so much more out of the program. But the creative team was just so afraid to make Cena look vulnerable. And it backfired in the long run.
Yep. All right. Number 4. Number 4, I'm trying to figure out the year, so give me 2 seconds here. I think I just watched it too on the network, which is even sadder because I can't remember what. Okay, here it is. SummerSlam 2005, Washington, D.C. There's a chance we come to this show for multiple matches, but I'm going to start with this one. And no, it's not Orlando Jordan dropping the U.S. title in 25 seconds to start the show. SummerSlam 2005. I'm going with. Oh shit! No, I'm sorry. 2006. My apologies. 05 is where I might go with another one. 2006. Okay. SummerSlam 2006 is. I'm just making sure this is correct. I'm pretty sure I'm good now. Yes. SummerSlam 2006. I Quit match. Ric Flair, Mick Foley.
Really?
Nobody wanted to see that match. Both men ridiculously out of their primes. Rick obviously would stick around for, another 2 years? Year and a half, roughly? Yeah, year and a half. Because WrestleMania 24 was 2008. Mick should have been done in 2000, 2001. Some would even argue it should have been done after 99. That's just when you just know. Just know. Mick should have left after WrestleMania 22 5 months earlier when he faced Edge. It was essentially a cash grab for Mick. That's all it was.
No,
and then
TNA was a cash grab for Mick.
I was about to say, and then they both followed up with a TNA cash grab. But just no. Nobody wanted to see it. Nobody wants to see 2 senior citizens bleeding for no fucking reason.
Mick was like 40-something at the time. He wasn't a senior citizen.
Well, he moved around like a senior citizen at the time. And he walked around like a senior citizen even worse when he went to TNA. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Flair Foley is my number 4. I love them both dearly. We've talked about this before, but it's not a match anybody wanted to see in 2006. Sorry.
Well, because literally, that whole thing came out of real life heat between the two.
Right. That came out of, which was a theme actually for that and a match the year before, because the year before was the Edge Matt Hardy shit.
Yeah.
In 05, which led to a match stoppage. You remember that, by the way? Edge didn't even win. It was a match stoppage.
Because Matt was bleeding like a step pig.
Right. Nowadays, they would have had the trainer come over, try to towel him off, and then see if they could stop the bleeding. Then they call the match. Like 2005, it was unheard of for anybody to stop a match for bleeding.
Remember that you said that.
Okay. Yeah, it was just like
yeah.
But nowadays it's commonplace because we've seen it a few times. But like 05 even, which shows you how much we've come in 15, 16 years. Like even in 05, it was like Flair and Foley were both bleeding, but neither. I think like
they were known to bleed.
At the very end of the match, maybe Foley could have been at a point, but they were already going home anyway, so it didn't fucking matter at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like
nobody. Matt was bleeding like Kerry Von Erich against Lawler. Like it was bad.
Well, by the way, because you're probably gonna yell at me for this, I had never watched that match start to finish until I decided last week to just fuck it and pull up Super Clash 3.
Wow.
Man, we can both agree, horrible show to begin with.
Yeah.
So I basically fast forwarded through, although I was intrigued seeing a young Jeff Jarrett in the ring, so I did watch his match just for shits and giggles. But aside from that, I basically fast forwarded through the whole fucking thing until I got to, and it wasn't even the fucking main event, by the way. Did you remember that?
Yep.
How the fuck do you? I know it's Rock and Roll Express, but how the fuck do you book that as your main event to go on after Lawler and Kerry Von? Like, what the fuck are you like? Who booked this shit? Don't answer. We know. Don't answer. Fucking. That shows you why AWA and that whole conglomeration failed fucking miserably. They fucking put Kerry and Lawler on before Rock and Roll. Jesus Christ. Anyways, go ahead with your number 3.
My number 3, speaking of SummerSlam 2005.
Yeah, which I mistakenly named, but go ahead.
And I'm going to catch so much heat for this, but I don't give a fuck.
But I agree with you because it was on my list too. Oh, I didn't take it off. I had that on my list, and I had your number 4 on my list.
So, my number 3, SummerSlam 05, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, custody on a ladder match.
Oh, my God.
Give me the biggest cardinal sin of everything surrounding this match. Let's forget everything that led into it. The biggest cardinal sin that came out of this match was introducing the WWE viewing audience to Dominic Mysterio, which we are still feeling to this day. Kane Dewey.
You fucking Mark, you would.
People were like, Kane Dewey. I was like, Kane Dominic. Get this fucking kid off my TV. 16 years ago.
All right. So
it was the dumbest story too.
Right. So let's just let me address this in a couple different areas. Number 1, okay.
And it's a fuck. 3 months later.
I was gonna get to that, you fuck. Way to steal the thunder. But the other thing is that it's a fucking shame that because of the stipulations surrounding the match, it took what honestly was, I think, one of the best ladder matches of WWE, because the match itself, like, forget the storyline wrapped within it and the involvement of Dom. If you take the involvement of Dom and Vicky out, the match itself, start to finish, stands up pretty high against other ladder matches, not including Money in the Banks. Like, it's not quite, it's obviously not quite HBK and Scott Hall. It's not quite Rock and Hunter from 98 SummerSlam. It's not quite RVD and
Jeff Hardy.
Yes, Jeff Hardy from Raw. But it's up there. Generally speaking, it's up there compared to other ladder matches. But it's just the whole storyline is what fucks the whole thing up and makes the whole goddamn thing cringeworthy start to finish. Just, what was he, 8 at the time?
10?
10? 8?
Because he's like 25 now.
Oh, right. He was like, 10, 11 years old. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like I legit, like I have a list. I have a list. That's not even the full list. Christ, I have like 15 things on here. And I gotta pick 3 more out of them. You know what? I'm gonna go with. All right, let's go back to. Let's go back to a time where shit was still super hokey. Okay, and I'm pretty sure this was. Oh, I'm going to pull this up. Wikipedia is my best friend right now, by the way, because I'm not entirely sure on the year for this. I think it was this one. God, I'm good. SummerSlam 1989, which I believe was the second one ever.
Yeah. 88 was the first, yeah.
Which, by the way, has a banger of an opening match if you want to go check it out. Brainbusters against the Hart Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Banger of an opening match.
Yep.
Now, some might say Mr. Perfect and the Red Rooster was a shitter. Not gonna argue with that, but it had Mr. Perfect, so I kind of saved the match. Here's the real shitter. Okay? How about your main event? And now I'm bringing up the main event because the only fucking reason it's even remotely close to being a good match is because of Randy Savage. Let's just put that out there. SummerSlam 89 was essentially them trying to sell movie tickets for no holds barred. It was Hogan and Beefcake against Savage and Zeus. Need I fucking say more? Like,
what was worse was how they repackaged that as a cash grab 6 months later.
yes.
When they did the movie The Match.
Yes.
When the match came out when the movie came out on pay-per-view, and you could buy the pay-per-view with that match attached to it.
Because people really wanted to see it again. Although what's interesting for historical purposes, think about how taboo it is these days in 2021 to have man-on-woman violence in wrestling. And go watch how Hogan manhandles Sherry at the end and after that main event match in 89.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Sherry was a rarity in the business because she could do that shit with Hulk and make it look fucking good.
Yeah.
But, Jesus. You want to talk about a completely different age of wrestling. Holy shit. But, yeah, we'll take that as my number 3. Go ahead with your number 2.
Number 2. Man, this match was a number 2.
And I honestly don't remember this match. You're going to have to enlighten me on it.
And trust me, it was so hard to narrow this list down to not being all Brock Lesnar matches. But literally, Lesnar versus Orton 2016. That was the main event that went on higher than the title match.
Was this the one where he hardwayed Orton?
Yes.
Okay,
and they had to do ref stoppage.
That's right. Now I remember that. Okay.
And it was like, there was so much build for what you knew was going to be a shit match because it's Lesnar and it's not 2003. Anything Lesnar did after 2003 has been shit.
Right.
Because Lesnar has not cared since then. Any analyst will tell you that. People who are like, Lesnar's but Lesnar does not care. And he has shown that in his work ever since anything after WrestleMania 20. Including WrestleMania 20. So for them to build this above the title matches and put it at the top of the card and it lasted 4 minutes and it was literally Brock being a cunt and fucking hardwaying Orton. And I don't even care for Orton, but he fucking hardways Orton and the match is over. Like, what was the point? The pay-per-view went off the air like 15 minutes early.
Yeah, Now, I'll tell you flat out why I honestly had to be reminded of what that match was. When because I didn't look, because you also sent me years for these matches,
Yeah.
but I skimmed over the years when I was writing down your matches. So when you sent me that, I was thinking old Brock, and I'm like, I don't remember them facing off at SummerSlam before he left. And now you said 2016. That's when I was like, si, senor.
Mhm.
Si, senor. Number 2. We're going to another main event.
Okay.
SummerSlam 1993.
Okay.
Please tell me you remember what the main event was.
Let me think. It was the year after, so Hogan and Warrior both gone, so Brett was champ. Or did
Wrong.
Already it? Was that Diesel and Mabel?
Wrong.
That was 95.
Let me put it this way: it completes a horrible timeline.
Luger and Yoko.
Yes, it completes a complete shit show of 6 months for the WWF title that began at WrestleMania 9 with Yoko taking the belt and then 90 seconds later dropping it to Hogan, which then transitioned to King of the Ring with Brett winning the tournament, but Yoko winning in a
King of the Ring.
Yeah, over Hogan. I was trying to think of the phrase I was going to use, and I can't even.
He went over dirty.
In a schmaz is what I'm thinking of.
Uh-huh.
But yes, went over dirty to dumb it down for what I was saying. And then you get to SummerSlam after building Luger with the Lux Express and being the All-American hero for the last
weeks.
Huh?
For 5 weeks.
Well, I was going to say a month and a half. Yes, 5 weeks. After he body slammed Yoko on the USS Enterprise, I think it was. I think it was the USS Intrepid. Thank you. Close. Intrepid Enterprise, close enough. On the 4th of July.
The Enterprise is on Star Trek, motherfucker.
The words sound kind of the same. Which, by the way, one of the greatest.
Jean-Luc Picard took a crack at it.
I'm sure you actually have heard this. I'm sure you heard about this this inadvertent practical joke. I can't remember the name of the word for it. That Fuji pulled on Yoko. I'm sure you know about this.
Flip-flops, and then Fuji wouldn't let him put him back down, and his feet were burning.
Oh God, that's so good. It
was funny when you brought it up 2 weeks ago on the podcast too.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that as I was halfway mentioning it, but I was already halfway through, so anyways.
Listen, if it weren't for that match, we would have never got that banger of a rap song. Men on a mission to Randy Savage. We're ready, willing, able, and we're destined for success. We felt the call to action from the mighty Lex Express.
I hate you. I hate you. I really, really hate you.
Yokozuna's butt ain't all that it's cracked up to be.
Stop. Please stop. Please stop. I hate your guts. I really, really do. Why do I keep booking this show? I don't know why. But anyways, so for the third time in as many pay-per-views, because I don't believe they started doing In Your Houses until 95, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So for the third straight pay-per-view, your WWE title match ends in a schmaz. Actually, fourth, because Brett's title match at WrestleMania 9 was a schmoz too, wasn't it?
No. Broke. You got to remember there was 2 pay-per-views in between. No. So Brett, sorry, yeah, I was going to 10. Yeah, so Brett got the salt thrown in his eyes at 9, and that's how Yoko beat him.
But before that, at the Rumble, didn't Shawn interfere
between Shawn and between Brett and Razor? No. Brett and Razor was the Rumble.
Oh no, I'm thinking the following year at 94. Okay, I'm thinking the year after at 94 with Razor. Okay, wow, I got my ears mixed up. All right, so yeah, it was only 3. But that's 3 pay-per-views in a row. You had your title match and the schmaz because you had the powder in the eyes of Brett at WrestleMania. You had Harvey Whippleman with the exploding camera on Hogan at King of the Ring, and then you have Yoko counted out. And they fucking celebrated in the ring like he won the fucking belt. While Yoko's laying on the outside selling the surgically repaired elbow plate thingamabobber that they were doing back then without explaining what the fuck he was out for. You realize that, by the way, right? Like, I don't think they ever addressed the elbow plate thing like they did when he was the narcissist, but they completely forgot about it within 3 months afterwards.
They would only address it at certain times. They addressed it there, and they addressed it in his cage match with Tatanka at the SummerSlam Spectacular the night before SummerSlam the following year.
Just fucking A.
Where he finished off Tatanka in the cage by giving him a flying forearm off the second rope with the fucking steel plate.
But then they have the Steiners put him on their shoulders, and he has the American flag, and balloons come from the ceiling. Like, suck a dick. He won by count out. Like, I mean, your fans are thick, but they aren't that fucking thick, were they back then?
You know why? They had all that shit rigged already, but that was one of the 2 times where when they were filming episodes of Challenge and Superstars, they would do a thing where Lex stole the belt and would come out to the crowd with it. And when he did, the crowd didn't give a fuck. So Vince pulled the trigger that day and went, "You're going over, but by count out." But we already have this shit rigged up. I don't care.
Wait.
You can find the shit online.
Hold on. So, are you trying to tell me they pre-taped future TV that was going to air post SummerSlam and gave the excuse to the crowd that he stole the belt, and that's why he was appearing on TV with the belts?
Yeah, dude. They did it before SummerSlam, and they did it before Mania the following
And
week.
then I'm assuming they shit-canned that TV because...
And the shit like, there was talk about it for years, but the actual video footage surfaced, like, within the last few years.
What?
It's literally, like, Lex, like, coming out with the belt and fucking holding it up, and the crowd doesn't care, and then he comes back, and you see him, like, toss it at Vince on the fucking, on the timetable, on the timekeeper table or whatever. Yeah.
What?
But the crowd wasn't feeling it, so Vince was like, "I already got the shit rigged up."
No shit, because they knew he wasn't champ. You're telling the crowd he's not the champ, but hey, he's coming out with the belt. Do you really expect a fucking reaction out of that? Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Oh my God. Oh. Let this be a lesson. Don't do pre-tapes for stupid shit involving a belt unless you plan on following through on it.
It was relegated to that bin with, like, the Tom McGee match where the shit finally came out.
So dumb. Anyways, we've spent way too much time than we should have on this. Let's go to your number 1, please.
I want to go back to that. I'm going to find that Men on a Mission video now. And we'll put it
No, if you send it to me, I'm not gonna watch it. Don't even bother. I'm not watching it.
I'm going to put it on my phone. Next week we're going to start. I was going to start playing it.
You're a jerk off because you probably will do that. I hate your guts. I really hate your guts sometimes.
Anyway,
Come on. What's your number 1?
My number one, and it amazes me, like, because I like when I was trying to get ideas, I would like skim through like other people's like opinions, and this wasn't on anyone's list, and I don't fucking understand how. Because this, I remember right after this happened, I went
Honestly,
online.
compared to other SummerSlam moments, I wouldn't have it on my top 5 list, but I
Right,
understand why it's on your top 5
yeah.
list.
So right after this happened, I remember going online and posting so and so to so and so was the new generation era. This was the attitude era. Fucking so and so to this was the ruthless aggression era. This date, 2013, has officially begun the bullshit era, which we're still in to this day. And that's because 2013, Daniel Bryan wins the Undisputed Championship, and
Off of
Triple H
Cena.
fucks him over, and out comes Orton with the Money in the Bank cash in, and Orton's the champ.
All right, well, let's clear this up first off. He beat Cena, so it wasn't like a throwaway match. Number 2,
Right,
Orton had
Cena
already...
was anointing him.
Right. Secondly, Orton was already at ringside. He was turning to leave and then noticed that... and then turned back around to face the ring for whatever fucking reason. And that's when he knew the shit was on, and Hunter hit the pedigree. Then Orton comes in the ring, rings the bell, 1, 2, 3.
Right. And the thing was, they were already building for months before that of Bryan winning the big one.
Right.
And then they fucked him. And then we literally got how many months of Vacant being the champion and the belt being held in abeyance and all that shit. And then literally took a social media fucking blitz to get Bryan into the main event at WrestleMania 30.
He was only in abeyance for a month, I think, or something like that.
No, that whole fucking time frame was all bullshit.
I mean, it was bullshit, but it wasn't vacated for long.
But it was.
I don't think if it wasn't even vacated.
That was when WWE.
Like, I know they eventually did the Cena Orton ladder match. I remember that, but I don't remember it being vacant. If it was vacant, it was for like a month.
Still, though, that was when the WWE Vacant Twitter was born. And it was like, I'm the champion.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But still, it led to a series of bullshit that lasted for the next fucking 7
months. Yeah.
Right. And then even afterwards, like, Bryan wins, and then Bryan gets fucked on his first title, right at the beginning, and then he has to vacate because of shit. But it was like, so they could have taken that year and had Bryan as champion. And
even rewind to before him winning it at WrestleMania 30. You shove it up his ass by, if I remember correctly, that was the year they didn't even put him in the Rumble because he wrestled Bray earlier in the night, and Batista wins the Rumble.
Right.
Am I correct with that timeline? That was the same year when he...
born.
That was the same year when he was opening against Bray, right? It was that same night, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah,
just that was
because they did the whole Daniel Bryan joining the Wyatt family and then leaving the Wyatt family angle,
right? Because they didn't want Bryan in the title picture anymore, and then because that was shortly after all of this. Like, that's how bad it was. That was
literally WWE saying, we don't know what the fuck to do until we get to WrestleMania, so let's just throw you in the Wyatt family for a few weeks.
Well, no, it wasn't. They were planning on keeping him in the Wyatt family. It was the whole thing was they put the fucking title on him to have a feel good moment, but they didn't think that he was. They never saw him as a main eventer, and they're like, no, we're gonna stick with fucking Cena and Orton and fucking bring back Batista, and Daniel just got fucking shoved down the fucking card. And that's why they were like, oh, well, we're going to have you join the Wyatt family. So you'll have that story. And nobody wanted it. And then, so that's why they had him fucking get out, because they're like, shit, like, people aren't stopping with. That was one of the very few times that a social media blitz worked.
Correct.
But just let him win the fucking title and fucking let him have a few months. Who knows where we'd be today? Like, the company would probably have more legitimacy towards that demographic.
No, understood. Understood. All right. So before I reveal my number one, I'm going to give you some um I'm going to give you the complete list of other things I had listed here that are not going to be number one. But I want to mention them
Okay.
because I want to see your reactions to um, any of these. The first
Okay.
cluster I'm going to mention are all matches from like the first and second SummerSlams, where I don't remember the exact years, but I just remember them being cringeworthy matches. I'm just going to throw them out
Mhm.
there. Powers of Pain against the Bolsheviks.
Oh yeah.
Rick Rude against JYD.
Hmm.
Ted DiBiase against Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, that was a throwaway match.
This one I believe was the first SummerSlam. Dino Bravo and Don Morocco. Yes, it was the first one because Superstar was doing commentary instead of being in The Rock's corner. I remember that.
Mhm.
Let's see what else do we have here. All right, then two from SummerSlam '91. The main event there, the handicap match with Sarge, Sheik,
The
and
triangle against
Adnan
Hogan Warrior.
against Hogan and Warrior.
When
Um,
Warrior held up Vince for money halfway through the match.
Correct. And then wasn't even there for the finish because he chased. What did he do? Chase Sheik and Adnan to the back?
No, that's when he held up Vince for the money. Was when he chased them to the
He
back.
held them up during. He held them up after he. Oh my god!
Yeah.
That part I didn't know. I thought he held them up before the match.
There was talk
Wow.
beforehand, but he literally when he did the chase because he was out there for the finish, but he
Right.
literally the chase back and was like, "I'm not going back out there unless you give me the fucking money."
Jesus. And then he ends up holding up Vince again. I want to say, what was it? Was it? Was he trying to hold him up for Survivor Series '92, and then that's when he basically said, "Fuck it."
No, that's when him and Bulldog got busted for the steroids.
I thought that was until early
Survivor
'93.
Series '92 was supposed to be Ultimate Maniacs versus Flair.
Right, it
And
was supposed to be
Flair
Savage. Yeah,
and
yeah. It's wow. Okay,
yeah, and him and Bulldog got busted for the fucking steroids.
I thought
Right
they got
before that, which
busted
is why
after.
Bulldog dropped the Intercontinental title to Shawn at Saturday's main event.
See, I thought it was. I thought he was demanding for money again. Got
No.
thrown off. I thought got thrown off the card and then got busted, and that gave Vince enough reason to shit can him finally.
Nah.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, Same show, SummerSlam '91. Jake and Taker invading the wedding reception with the snake in the gift.
I like that shit.
So carny and hokey, and
That's why I liked it.
I mean, it worked for that era, but just looked awful. SummerSlam '93. This was a close nominee for me to be number one, by the way. Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez, the Rest in Peace match.
Oh god, yeah, that was pretty damn bad.
I believe this was SummerSlam '96. Jerry Lawler against Jake Roberts.
Yeah, that was because that whole storyline was really uncomfortable to watch.
No shit. I want to say this was SummerSlam 98 or 99. The Oddities against Kai and Tai.
98.
SummerSlam 2000, the Stink Face match between the Cat and Terry Runnels.
Yeah, that was that was bad.
SummerSlam, I believe, was 05. Big Show and Sabu for the ECW title. Like, you want to talk about a cringe-worthy match? You've got Big Show trying like hell to be professional against a guy who was essentially sabotaging the whole fucking match. I love Sabu. I respect what he's done with his career, but that match was just a clusterfuck of clusterfucks, really.
He decided to sabotage the match.
I did have King Mabel versus Diesel on the list, but I totally skipped over that on accident. SummerSlam, I think this was 05. Yeah, because 06, Sean was in DX by then. Hogan HBK was SummerSlam 05.
Oh, God. See, that match is just hilarious to watch now because of Sean overselling everything.
Which is why I had it on the list. By the way, do you remember the collector's pizza boxes? I'm trying to remember who it was with. Oh, was it Pizza Hut?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. They had a deal with whoever it was. I'm pretty sure it was Pizza Hut too, where they had collectors. They had a collector's pizza box to promote SummerSlam, and the top was Hogan Shawn from the poster. Mm-hmm. I kid you not. I personally ordered a pizza when they had those boxes just to save the fucking box. And I had it stashed in my bedroom for years until I eventually was moving my bedroom in my mother's house. This is how long ago it was. I was in fucking high school. I just graduated from high school when this happened, actually. I had stashed under my bed for years, and then when I was cleaning it out to move to the basement for a bigger bedroom, I found I'm like, Jesus Christ, why do I still have this? Why do I still have this pizza box? And then two more modern ones real quick. Kane and Khali. Don't ask me the year, just it's Khali. And then, speaking of Kane, the Ring of Fire match with Bray Wyatt.
I didn't think so. That was a different take on the Inferno match. I didn't think it was that bad. It helped establish Wyatt.
Okay.
I don't know. People give that match too much shit. But hey, we're going to get a Punjabi prison match at this SummerSlam, so.
No.
Ginger and Drew, baby.
No. Don't you fucking dare wish that. No.
It's a spoiler, dude.
Don't you wish that upon us. Don't you fucking wish that upon us.
Ricky Bobby.
Don't you dare wish that upon us, motherfucker.
Too late.
All right, finally I'm getting to my number one. SummerSlam just has shitty main events, doesn't it, man? It's got like the worst history for shitty main events out of like the big four.
Yep.
Although I don't know, some of those early Survivor Series main events where they had the remaining survivors in the
Soul Survivor. They did that like twice.
Yeah, those were because like there was one where it was like Hogan and Warrior against like 6 guys, and guess who went over?
Tito Santana.
Yeah, and guess who went over? SummerSlam 1994. What was the main event of that?
94. Let's see, it was the year after. What the fuck? 94. I was fucking watching avidly. Yeah, what the fuck was it? It was was Brett champion still? No. So it was after WrestleMania 10.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Taker versus Taker.
The Undertaker against the Underfaker, a.k.a. Brian Lee, 1994. Again, I respect Brian and his career, but not exactly his finest moment.
I knew that match was coming for months.
Well, gee, I fucking wonder why.
The second Ted DiBiase came back with The Undertaker, I went, that's not him. I went, they're going to have Undertaker versus Undertaker by the end of the year.
Look at you booking almost 30 years ago. Good for you.
Yeah. I had a mind for the book when I was 13.
Anything else we need to address on here before we wrap things up?
Punjabi prison match.
You're an asshole. I don't like you.
Anyways,
so yeah, that's episode 12. Thanks for checking it out. Don't forget, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by our friends at Mohawk Honda and Johnstone Supply.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any hate comments about anything offensive JJ may have said, his Twitter handle is at JJ_Alexander. If you want to come after me for trying to defend AEW for 5 minutes during the first hour of the show, my Twitter is at Brian Cady, BrianCady. Or you can always send me hate email, brian.cady@gozillamedia.com. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Anything quick, JJ, aside from Punjabi prison? All right, good. All right, so yeah, for JJ Alexander, I'm Brian Cady, and we'll catch you on the next episode of White Heat. And instead of saying goodbye, I'm going to say this: tomorrow night, Friday, August 6th, is tomorrow night for this recording. Chaotic Wrestling, Tommy Dreamer. I need a favor. I need a favor. Be unprofessional for one night. Cave in the face of JT Dunn for me, please and thank you. JT Dunn can suck my dick. I had to. You really think I was going to go the whole show and not mention that?
I'm with you.
Anyways, goodbye.
Later.